I'd like to talk to you today about iPad and Education for Dummies. I recently reviewed this book and I found it quite a useful resource for teaching kids in school and for helping teachers figure out what is the best way to go about this using an iPad. If you're new to iPads, that's okay. This book actually helps you quite a bit on figuring out how to use it. And I actually found that while the book goes into great detail on a lot of different things that we didn't figure out right away on our own, the basics of opening them up, opening some of the apps and stuff like that the book does talk about, you can kind of figure out on your own. My son was only 2 when he just picked one up and figured it out. That's the beauty of an iPad. So you will be able to figure out quite easily. And the next thing that he talks about is tech outside of classes has really come up and changed so much in the last, say, 30 years. When I was in school, we never had any technology. I think in the school, when I was in grade 7 or 8, we had one lab that we all had to go to the library to use because we finally got computers. Other than that, in other grades, we just had one computer in the whole school, or we didn't have one at all. So now that we have this technology outside of schools, we need to realize that inside schools, we need to pick it up. Kids these days use technology so much that they get bored in classrooms learning the old way, and they're not learning as much as they can be if we had the technology in schools. He also talks about how to set up iPads. I found this interesting, even if you're not a teacher or setting it up for education. This is really good for if you have kids. Some of the stuff was that you can turn on and off certain features. But if you are in schools and you want to use this for education, you're going to disallow certain things like Safari, the cameras, the game center, and FaceTime. And you'll want to prevent changes to certain services like your contacts, your Twitter accounts, and several other ones he mentioned that I thought was really interesting and probably a really good point. He also said that for younger grades, you're going to want to use a filtered browser so that they're only getting information in that you want them to have. I know we have them on our computers, but I never thought to get that for the iPad, so that's actually something I'm going to be talking to my husband about. You're also able to use a new thing that I've learned about, which was Dropbox. And what you can do is set up an account yourself and assign the students different tasks in there, put it in the Dropbox, give them the URL, and all they have to do then is click the URL. They're able to look at all the assignments that are in there. They can also hand in their assignments through the email, which makes it easier for you and paperless. If they set up their own Dropbox account, it's great because then you can do student-specific assignments. So you can say, okay, this is for, say, Johnny missed 3 days of classes. You could just put it up in there and say, here's your catch up. You could do different notes to him so that he knows what he needs to work on or whatever. And he can hand in his assignments to the same Dropbox account that's specific to him. Just hand it in and he can get the immediate feedback, and not all the other students are able to access that. Of course, anyone who has an iPad would know that ebooks is one of the great features. You can get Kindle for it, so you don't have to have an actual Kindle. You could just use your iPad, or you can use iBooks, which is amazing. You have access to so many different books, and even they have textbooks there now as well. So for teachers, it's great because they can just go and find the textbooks that they want for their students, put it on the iPad, share it around. Everybody doesn't have to go and get one or buy it or whatever. And I know when I was in school and I was given a textbook, even if it was one of the new ones, it'd look like it had been through quite a bit, because people aren't as careful with their books from schools that they should be. If you have a Mac, you can create your own textbooks for free with a program, and he goes into detail about that, which I thought was really cool. If you're looking to find good apps, he goes into several different ways to do that, Googling and checking out the reviews on the apps as well. It'll say what the review is, so you could check there. Or once you found one that you like, you can go to Google and just Google review for this product, and you can find out what they think. One that I thought was really cool and I would have never thought of, although I use it daily, is Twitter. He actually mentioned that it's a really good way to go on there and find information yourself about using iPads in education or different topics, because you can use hashtags and look up just the information you need. Obviously, there is going to be some weeding out that you're going to need to do, but because you can just click in hashtags as a search and add that column, you can actually use this as a really good tool for you. And I found that really interesting, and also the fact that he talked about how one class that he knows of followed an author of a book that they were reading in class, and they were able to talk to that author on Twitter, and they were able to get him to do a Skype call into the classroom, and the students really learned more about that book in a way that they never would have just by reading it. I think you should pick up this book. Thank you for your time today.